Mike Wang says this is really all it boils down to. If anyone has ideas for any better options than these two, I'd love to hear them. First, he says keep pure green windows, no RNG, which means for the sake of balance, the window needs to be pretty small, like they are now, talking about 2K25, so that the good players don't shoot 80 to 90% from the three-point line. And this also makes shooting very difficult for the casual players, and that's what we're dealing with right now. Now, this is coming off of a game that everybody can really shoot for real, and that's basically NBA 2K24, right? And that was a pure green window, but it's a big green window, so everybody could hit their shots, especially the better players, right? But in NBA 2K25, they wanted to negate that, so they had an idea to throw a massive amount of RNG inside the game to the point where you can't even make 3 shots in a row. And for some reason, there's like a big ass war going on about this. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really understand why it's so difficult for NBA 2K. We're gonna figure it out together in this video, what they can do for NBA 2K26 to fix the shooting in a balanced way, right? And I have an idea, and I'm gonna need you guys to talk to me inside the comments, all right? But let's finish up what he was talking about. Now, in option 2, he says, go back to the bigger green windows that are easier for most people to hit, but cap the excellent timing boost and reintroduce RNG to keep the game balanced. This is how 2K shooting has basically worked for the past 20 years. All right, so we about to get into it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to me. Do not forget to share, man. It helps me out a lot. Let's get into it, man. I see a big issue with this post, and let me break it down problem by problem. And I have some solutions for it. Now, problem number 1 is a problem that they're making for themselves, right? And this is that they have an issue with people going 80 to 90% from 3 consistently. I personally think that if a gamer is going off, let them balls snap, because they're obviously playing your game enough to have that much experience to do so. And that is the solution to the problem, period. If this wasn't an issue, NBA 2K25 would not exist, and it would not be considered one of the worst 2Ks ever. And one more thing to add, guys, you gotta understand, if you played prior 2Ks, you would understand that this is the first year that they decided to make realistic shooting percentages. You gotta understand that in order to force people to have lower shooting percentages, you have to have them missing shots, which means you have to add RNG so they can miss the shot. Y'all see where I'm going, bro? They created this issue on their own. Every other 2K, you could shoot however you wanted. You could hit your shots. Sure, they had full bars in certain 2Ks until that was taken out. And in NBA 2K24, sometimes you miss an open shot, but it really wasn't as bad as this year. You could still shoot 70, 80, 90%, and then the casual player would snap off and they'd be happy because, hey, yo, bro, I just shot 80, 90% for this rec game or whatever you playing, and bulls would be happy because that's what you want to do. It's a video game. But Mike Wang introduced realistic shooting, and he messed it up with that idea in itself. So if we're thinking solutions, the solution itself is to take the entire idea of realistic shooting and toss it into the garbage. It was the worst idea to begin with. That right there is a solution for the first problem. And might I add, if they add this idea, this terrible excuse for an actual idea to NBA 2K26, they'll crash that game and crush that game despite all the changes they say they're going to make, because the game will be garbage if they do not peep themselves that the idea of realistic shooting will destroy the game just like NBA 2K25. That concludes the first issue. I'm gonna need you guys to head down to the comment section and let me know if I missed anything, or if you don't agree with me, or do you think that this type of shooting idea should be inside the game, period? Like, let me know what your thoughts are. Drop them down inside the comments while we move on to the next problem. Problem number 2. Now, the second problem that I'm peeping, yo, is how NBA 2K is seeing balance. Their definition of balance in my head and how I'm looking at this, right, is completely off, bro. Like, it's complete fuckery. Let's look at this post one more time so I can explain what I mean. Now, look at number 1. He says, keep pure green windows with no RNG, which means for the sake of balance, the windows need to be very small so that the good players don't shoot high percentages. What we basically just read is them saying that, hey, bro, if one side is shooting way too efficiently and they're shooting 90, 80, 70% consistently, we're going to drop that to atone for those who can't do that. What you don't want to do is nerf a side's efficiency, like I said, but what you do want to do is be able to force that skill ceiling to rise even higher. But I feel like 2K is not peeping that if you shrink the green window, you're not hurting the good players as much as you're hurting the people who are not good, like the casual players or those who just suck at the game. You're hurting them even more, because 9 times out of 10, let's say you shrink it ridiculously. So now the really good players, they're averaging, instead of 80, 90, they're averaging 60, 70%, right? Okay, when the bad players are now, instead of averaging 50 to 60, bro, they're below 50 now. You're not helping them, guys. You're like, what's up? Like, 2K's not peeping that. So instead of doing that, I need you guys to understand that I think, and y'all can let me know, but I think the best counter to people who shoot really well is a buff on defense, so people can be able to easily contest them. The issue isn't just being able to shoot. How are you going to be able to shoot if you're not freaking open, right? Let's buff these defensive badges. Let's buff up how the movement on the defense, right? Let's not make it so stiff so now the defense can be able to shift around with the players. Bro, that right there is what I mean by raising the skill ceiling. You're not nerfing the other side. You're buffing the opposing side. So now if I'm shooting 90% because I'm getting open, that's what gets me to be able to shoot that 90%. If I'm shooting that 90% because I'm getting open, let the defense buff them balls, bro. Super Saiyan defense. So now you actually, bro, if you're not going to be able to shoot if you can't get open, so that's not an issue anymore. So that right there raised the skill ceiling instead of nerfing a certain side. Do y'all peep what I'm saying, bro? Bro, tell me y'all, come on now. I feel like that's a really good point to make. Y'all let me know inside the comments. That is my reason number 2. That's the problem and the solution right there, yo. Right there. Let me know what you thinking about that, bro. Now listen, y'all, it's extremely important that NBA 2K knows something like this. So I'm gonna need you guys to share this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it's very important, guys. If they continue to lower the skill ceiling simply because another person can't keep up, then that means that the game is not skill based anymore, bro. It's not gonna be skill based. It's not really competitive. It's supposed to be a competitive game, okay? If I'm getting fried playing somebody, you shouldn't have to nerf the dribbling, or you shouldn't have to nerf the shooting in order for me to keep up with them. I've gotten fried, bro. I've gotten cooked, okay? Like, I was fried, all right? And the issue is me. But if people don't want to see that, hey, yo, bro, I'm just not good, and if a lot of people complaining, the easiest fix to that is raise the skill ceiling a bit higher. If he's dribbling all that and doing all that extra stuff to get open, guess what? Buff the defense, make more bumps available. So now, let's see how he can do this when I'm all up on his eye. I mean, like, pause, but you see what I'm saying? All right, don't forget to like the video again. Subscribe to me, man. Share this video. God bless. To the next one. Don't forget to click on this, John. I'm out.